Right now, the world is hitting a massive surge in power consumption and energy consumption. By the end of 2026, AI-based data centers projected to consume over 7% of electricity on the US grid. And that is rapidly expanding. It's a tremendous spike in demand. And so I am asking the question, is this peak consumption culture, which is how I refer to what's going on? Consumer culture, consumption culture is happening. It's been expanding for a very long time. I want to look into this connection on a deeper level today. Energy in society, energy in the body. It's all energy, and many things in the world today, do you feel this way, are out of balance. Society out of balance, body out of balance. A big thing I try to communicate on this channel. In so many ways, society tells us the body is broken, there is disease and dysfunction. And what I want to lead us toward is to see so much of that dysfunction exists outside of the body. Our body is mirroring society in many ways, and what we're trying to do on a path of health and healing, say no to some things, hit the circuit breaker. That's what we want to do today, to disconnect this connection that we are seeing, the correlation between society and the metabolism. This intersection is what we're going to dive in. I want you to share your thoughts and observations as we go along. Let's have a discussion about it. Really looking forward to it. In a lot of ways, okay, I did a session that was like this in the fall, the hidden history of obesity, of the metabolic dysfunction that we're experiencing. That's kind of like part one, and then we're going to move forward from that point. In that session, I shared this chart, which I think is a completely fascinating thing to look at. This is total global energy consumption, over the last 250 years or so. And then that left tail, extends way back. At the very bottom, that's just wood. That's where energy, that's where so much stuff was coming from. And then we start adding in everything else, the coal, the oil, the natural gas, and then everything else on top of it is everything else, nuclear and solar. This is our energy consumption. And then what we talked about is like, okay, coming out of the Industrial Revolution, you can overlay a chart of the same experience that we're having in society, actually in the body, and our struggle with metabolism is the same graph, basically. They're at least correlated. And so here we've got a 300 plus year correlation, which is very fascinating. Human society, what we've done over the past centuries, we have used technology to solve the problem of energy scarcity, and then unintentionally, we have created its opposite problem, which is energy toxicity, in the body. Probably energy toxicity in society too, when we look globally at so many problems. But what we're focused on here, okay, is the health channel. We say energy toxicity in the body. We want to get a handle in that. We want to break this correlation, at least for ourselves, right? So that we start, maybe AI data, we're going to look into it, continues going up, but can we at least personally make our curve get back into balance? This is what we are going to do. So let's take a look at energy in the body for a bit. So 4 places we want to look at. So energy coming into the system. Here's stomach, right? Energy coming into the digestive tract, into the bowels, and absorbed. So the first energy, we got food energy, which of course we need. And then that is drawn out of the GI system. Here are blood vessels that are sucking the energy out of the bowels. Now it's in the bloodstream. So energy can be in the food, then energy is in the body, in the blood. That's especially the blood sugar we think of because we measure that the most. And then here is the liver. Liver is interacting with so much of our metabolism, storing energy for us in the form of glycogen. It's kind of the sugar slush fund. It can be exchanging. You need some energy. Liver always right there can dump it out. And then look around the system out here. Here's what we're really trying to target, right? In a weight loss space, we got subcutaneous body fat, and then look, body fat tucked in around the organs. That's the visceral fat. So this is energy in the body. We are going to talk today, how do we bring that into balance, right? We're trying to bring everything into balance with energy, and this is the correlation. So we want blood sugar in balance. We want our weight to come to a nice place that we're happy about. We want to take the pressure off all these organs dealing with the metabolism, the liver and the pancreas here. Bring insulin into balance. Okay, so let's dive in thinking between these two different spaces. Here's some recent data that we'll dive into. U.S. data center grid strain casts cloud over AI race. Yes. Okay, look what they say. The rapid expansion of data centers, fueled primarily by the AI boom, will dramatically reshape U.S. electricity demand over the decade. So this report is getting into how it was projected just a year and a half ago that we'd be at 4.5 to 5% of total energy heading to data centers. Really, we're more like 7%. And look what they're saying as we head out toward 2030, 9 to 17, it's starting to blow out. This is what we're seeing on the parabolic part of the curve, right? This is the question going forward. Are we going to continue tracking that 60% increase over estimates just from the end of 2024? Yeah, and hardly even taking into account all the projects that have come online and are coming online even as we speak. This, I won't read through the whole thing, but it just basically saying these data centers are using as much energy as large cities. And when we start stacking all of them together, it's going to be like multiple major metro areas just keep adding on. Okay? And this is the story across domains in our society. This is what we experience, right? More is better, always more and bigger and consuming. I'm just going to tell you, it's like we're trying to go, I am, in a different direction. This is the report that article was based on. They are circling especially on this giant circle here in Virginia, which is the only state, they say, where data centers consuming more than 20% of total electricity, which is crazy. And they're saying just by 2030, with the projects already in the pipeline, that's heading 39 to 57% of total energy. Isn't that wild? So here's a correlation. I'm just showing correlations today, which are, food for thought to think about. Here's our graph of data center capacity that we are blowing out, and I just thought it was very interesting to overlay that with CDC trends in obesity. Now, I don't think a data center is directly, causing this. This is a correlation, but it is a very fascinating thing to observe, I will say, as we're just exploring this intersection between energy, society, and our human existence here in this moment where we are trying to be healthy. And so here are some questions that we're looking at. We have parabolic energy usage. Going at a time when we're also experiencing significant metabolic dysfunction. You say, what does this mean for our society? Is this process going to continue? And is that what we want? And is it good for our health, for the environment, for everything? What does this bottom graph do if the top graph continues this way and trends continue? It's like, what does that mean? Or does the correlation break? This is the question. Can we break it? At the very least, I would say if data center use exploding 7%, just this year, it's like, Like, hopefully, can we take a pause and step back and say, at the very least, for our personal selves, I want to say, we want to move somewhere totally different than that. That's what I would say. And I'm going to dive in on how I would suggest we do that. This is what I say about fasting is like a circuit breaker, like literal circuit breaker, because we're talking about electricity and energy flows. We're talking about energy flows in so many different directions. So if we're talking about, system overload at a power plant, okay, the circuit breaker you need to stop the actual flow of electricity. So here's the analogy. Fasting like the circuit breaker in our life that is breaking this correlation. This is what I want to see. When energy is flowing in and it's expanding and there's more of it than we need, we said we've developed this situation societally, maybe even in our body. It's like energy toxicity. There is more energy than we need. How do we protect the system from being overloaded? Look at this image. Okay, here's the irony. As I'm studying this, reading about it, looking into it, say I used an AI to generate this image because I'm interested in understanding how does this work? What is happening? What are we experiencing? So, I contributed my little bit to, is the problem with it. And so this is the things that we really got to wrestle with. How do we want to interact with systems like this? Are we feeding into the problem that we are trying to solve? These are like deep questions, I think, that I'm thinking about. But I like how this thing merged these images together. We got a data center. We got the coal plants, in the background, the factories. This is showing us, the roots of this progression from the Industrial Revolution up until this modern moment. But I'll tell you, look, like the power consumption. It's like a lot of the AI centers being powered by coal and natural gas right now. So it's like right in the center. And actually so much of our human body, when you dig into it, because our agricultural practices, we've stripped all the animals out into their own places. Then we put the growing of plants over in a different place. Then because all the natural cycles are disrupted, we have no fertilizer, no nutrients in the soil. So we create fertilizer out of natural gas, and we pump our fields full of natural gas fertilizer. So it's just like, whoa, you start to see the energy intensity of these things. Do you see how that all flows together? Remember the talk I did, Everything Matters. And everything is connected. Like, we've got to do another session on that. This is bridging the space, our food, between, consumption of this whole industrial society, which is mostly based on fossil energy that we are extracting and burning up, and then our physical bodies consuming the byproducts of this, like really devoid of natural cycles. Like, look at then this image on the side. Flip on that fasting switch. It's like hitting the circuit breaker. See, metabolism is on overload. Just like the power grid is on overload, like our internal grid. Think of the internal grid. Like, even if you say, okay, it's just a correlation, you say, well, we have an external grid. We have an internal grid. We can see, okay, external grid getting blown out by excess consumption that it isn't really designed to handle. Do you see that we got a mirror in the physical body with a physical power grid that is getting overloaded in much the same fashion? You say, where's the circuit breaker? Right? This is a fasting space. Fasting space is getting in the middle of this cycle. And it is saying, let's protect the system. Just like there's some power surge, trips the breaker, it's going to protect, the electronics, right? How do we protect the delicate structures of our body, like the delicate electronics, right? The organs. Think how the organs are damaged in this, a leading killer of people, heart disease, vascular disease. And then we did the talk on chronic inflammation, and we see how so much of the inflammation flowing down from the environment. It's like so many times, like we bring so much judgment into a situation, but we have to look. This is what I think is the value of looking at this broader thing. Look at what is happening in society. look at the energy flowing in these different places and then see that our body is part of that flow. We're part of the society. We're interacting with it. And then the body is participating in that. And so the flow of energy through food into the body from the system is having effects. Some of those effects from the toxic byproducts directly damaging cells in the body, causing inflammation. Some of the effects of energy overload hitting the body, overwhelming the circuits. That's like cranking the insulin beyond its capacity. Body trying to protect from the energy, say shunt that energy into the liver, into the storage system. Storage system can get overloaded, cycles back around into inflammation, driving atherosclerosis, other processes. All right. When we have a fasting space, we're saying no to that for a period of time. Say a buffer from it. Or we say, like, let's run this system backwards. Say, I don't like the way that this energy flow has been happening. I see it doesn't seem scalable or sustainable. Like fasting is saying, protect. Turn around. Think a different thought. And say, can a fasting circuit breaker, maybe just a few hours, so whatever you feel open and called to, a practice that you can build, could it break the correlation that we are seeing? Or, this correlation could resolve in a couple different ways. Maybe AI use never stops. Have you seen things in the news lately? People want to send data centers into space and build giant solar-powered space stations, and then it will geometrically increase. And they say it's never going to stop because, we can just keep sucking more energy out of the sun. We'll build more and more solar-powered AI data centers. So maybe the graph never stops. Maybe that's the future, right? We don't control it. We're just observing it, but we can participate in our one tiny little way. I would say that doesn't feel to me like necessarily the best solution. In our own personal life, say fasting is my little vote, my one vote out of 8 billion. We're just going to say, for me, I'm going to take some space to unplug a little bit from that. Now, the interesting thing would be, the consumption patterns feedback around. Our consumption patterns, like when we are out of balance in some fashion, we're not running this body in the balance, it's consuming more than we necessarily need, feed back into this whole system. What if we developed lots of people, meaning everybody who wants to improve their metabolism, which should be pretty much everybody on the planet, or to start having some fasting space, all of a sudden that starts feeding backwards. Fasting space physically in our body, how about fasting space digitally, And we say, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Say Dr. Z had fun making his little data center image. But was that really, has this made our lives better, And can we actually curb the consumption, just like we're trying to curb our physical consumption? Does that feed around? And can we as a human species say, maybe we don't need geometrically increasing power consumption. Maybe we can bring things into balance here on a bigger level. I would say it'd be nice. So here's some potential fasting benefits, things to think about the circuit breaker. If for no other reason, in the face of radically escalating energy consumption, I just got to tell you, it's not very hard to see if these trends continue. It is going to absolutely blow out the power pricing. Okay, we're already seeing it. I mean, people around the country are having doubling, tripling of their energy bills, and this is going to be just a huge issue going forward. Okay. Fasting, if nothing else, if you are trying to lose weight, you built yourself an energy storage system for a while. I say fasting is like cashing the check. It's like making a withdrawal from the bank account. It's like drawing down on that battery that we are trying to go. You say save some money with it. Okay, this is like a big benefit of fasting. So you can save money. Utilize the resource that you have. This is what I say. Body is not broken. This is society right now is exceptionally keen on convincing everybody that they have the disease and that the body is broken because diseases need medicines. And then society has the answer, and people making fortunes off of convincing people of this. Think if the messages on TV were, and I put myself, I'm kind of on it. Are you watching on a TV? Okay, most people on the phone, but ads on the phone, right? Think if all the ads said, hey, did you know that your body is not broken? Did you know that you are okay? Did you know that healing is possible? Like, start to see this problem. I'm not saying that a weight problem, blood sugar problem isn't a problem, right? I'm here to help you resolve it. There's like problem solver. This is the thing. We want to solve the problem, not perpetually string the problem along and perpetually be required to pay to just maintain it. Say, let's get to a root level. This is where fasting is. Circuit break the entire process. Okay? This is what I say is the most encouraging thing about a fasting process, is empowering. When you realize this thing I thought was a disease is actually energy, it's actually power that I can tap into and power my body and life. See, that is empowering. Like, you should feel energized and empowered, both physically and mentally. Say, to realize it mentally, see, that is extremely encouraging. Like, I really feel encouraged by that. I want everyone encouraged. And then physically, to feel it in the body. As you start fasting, someone starts fasting, never done it. You say, there is a barrier to entry, and that barrier is when we are used to patterns, it feels difficult to change. With our diet, that is double, because food is both a physical and an emotional experience. And so it's enough to make any change because the emotions of change make it difficult. We want to do what we have usually done because that feels normal and safe. When we change our diet, then it's double, because then we have the physical feeling of actually feeling hungry on top of it. And then that can feel very intense. And so I'll just tell you, from a fasting perspective, as we get into it, I give you some perspective. That's why I want always everything very slow and gentle and thoughtful. Fasting is a process of openness. There is nothing rushed or forced about it. And you can open up just the amount of it at any time that feels good and that you feel is like a curious and joyful exploration. And then you never have to push it beyond it. And what is very likely, as you thoughtfully and gently move toward that, you'll see that the body responds to that. And then it gets easier and feels better over time. Come to feel very, very pleasant. Fasting is space to unplug from the system. Could you use a little reset? Do you like the idea of unplugging a little bit from this? Can you feel this that is happening in society right now? Just parabolic consumption. And how do you feel about that? I'll just say, in my little life, I want to stop consuming so many things. And it's hard to do. I made my little AI picture because it's an amazing tool. I say, I want to create things that resonate and connect with people. So I'm not saying there's really any right or wrong about it, but I am saying, like, let's think about it. This is what I'm trying to deeply, do. Think about, what does this mean? Ask deep questions. Here's the questions I was thinking on yesterday. Are these systems really helping us? Is this something that we really want? And whether or not this correlation holds, like, if the correlation holds and, like, the more we drive into a technological space, if our society, which we've been experiencing for hundreds of years now, just continues to deteriorate metabolically and become more and more unwell, like, this would be something we should not do, right? Like, if we think about what I talk about on this channel a lot, is like, we're trying to find a way of being in the world. Like, this is what I want. We want a way of being in the world that is positive and healthy, where we're at least enjoying ourselves. And you say, it's like people kind of enjoying themselves. Kind of the idea is like, oh, we have social media now, we have electronics and TVs and smart everything. It's like, but are people really happier? And are they healthier? Like, we don't see that. What if unplugging? What if going in a different direction was actually better? Could it make us actually happier, more grounded, and healthier? So these are the type of things I would encourage us to ask and think about in the midst of a society like this, that is kind of like a runaway train. I was listening to a finance commentator the other day saying, nothing stops this train. They were talking about, okay, AI, energy consumption, there's no off-ramp. And they were just saying, we're on a one-way track. Like, really? Like, that doesn't resonate with me. Like, I say, how much connection do we want to this? Maybe we at least think about it. And you have a lot of people telling you how things have to be. But like, most of the people who telling you how things have to be have financial interests, they're talking their own book. And I say maybe we go someplace different. Someplace different looks like this. Building a fasting practice into your life. Here's just a couple patterns of the way you could do it if you're new to it. Level 1, I say just eating 2 meals in a day. Look, replacing 1 meal out of our 3 with water. And then lots of asterisks can be coffee, tea, sparkling water. Put an eating window somewhere in the day where it resonates. Most people looking at something like this say they're least hungry in the morning. Say, hey, I would like to have some water, coffee, tea, and not hungry. Easier to flow through in a lunch, dinner. But you could do it a different way. You could eat breakfast, lunch, and fast through the evening. Has many benefits. That's probably the strongest practice. Clear out that whole space. Let everything clear out. Let the digestive system shut down. Once you get through the practice of, handling feeling hungry at a meal you're used to eating, okay, people actually sleep a lot better in that sort of state. Not at first. I mean, my experience, I've practiced all of these things so I can understand them, talk to people about them. First time I knock out a dinner, try to go to bed, I'm like hungry. It's harder to sleep, absolutely. So this is a practice you train. I personally would never have anyone start with that unless they're like really want to do it. In my experience, it's about 3 or 4 out of 100 people would pick the middle one first. And then look, you can move that anywhere you want. And then ramping that up to level 2, 1 meal per day. People say OMAD. 1 meal a day, pick that. And then these could be mixed and matched. Nothing about this says, oh, I'm at level 2 now. I always have to stay at that. No, you can bounce between these. You could throw level 2 in just once a week, just stretching yourself. And you can just try to do it. And if you don't succeed at it, you say, well, I learned. Okay, well, I learned. And then see as a human experience, if nothing else, just to realize fasting is something that people do, not out of any kind of punishment, not out of anything for any other reason than wellness. For millennia, people have recognized the healing potential and healing space of fasting. A circuit breaker from so many things, both physically and mentally, emotionally. So I would never have someone say fast for a day if they're very intimidated by it. To say just ease into it. Why run before you can walk, right? Like ease into things. But I tell you, have you ever been sick, and then you didn't eat for a day? Like, okay, you fasted in a day when you were very compromised, right, with illness. If you can fast and the body actually uses that space to bring health when you are not well, how much more can you tolerate it and benefit when you are well? So I just tell you, open the mind and realize such things possible. And in that space, right, the body is always running. And when you start opening up some space with it, that's how you can burn through dysfunctional proteins. That's the autophagy space. Clear out the things that are not working. Renew, rejuvenate the system. Such a beautiful process. We're trying to get into a flow or cycle in the body. Here's 24-hour cycle. If we're eating twice, it's a 6-hour window where we're eating, and it takes 12 hours to flip our metabolic switch over, get into the fasting space, we're opening up 6 hours out of the day in that golden fasting space where the body can start to run the maintenance systems that help to revitalize the system. And then the tighter we make that green window, the tighter the eating window, the more space we open up on the other side. You open up a whole fasting day, we're just opening up more and more space. See, that is the process. I like to look at it like a dial. You can dial in as much fasting space as you feel called to do. If you have any medical problem, of course, talk with your medical team about it, okay? So be very happy to hear reflections on this topic. What do you think of the topic? Do you find it interesting that we are sitting here in this current moment with data centers and energy flows and all of these things at the same moment that we are sitting here struggling with the metabolic dysfunction and that so many things are out of balance? The big picture that I'm going for, what I want for people, I want things to come into balance. Balance in our mental health. Balance in the physical body, bringing the actually energy balance into a healthy, positive place. Look like losing the weight that we want. Fasting is a process to do that. Along with every other good part of health, bringing in gentle or even not so gentle movement if we are called to do it. Choosing the healthiest natural foods that come from the earth in a natural way. It's just such a core part of it. To me, fasting and healthy eating is just two sides of the same coin. Like we need both. We need healthy nutrition to support our bodily processes. We need space from it to bring everything into balance. Both things, amazingly, are very, very positive. And then throughout the whole thing, we weave in together the beautiful mental health processes that help us to center ourselves, to get the journal out, open up a meditation space, take space in our life to intentionally breathe. Even one deep cleansing breath like that, I feel better just doing it, I'm like amped up, I'm giving a talk, and I take a deep breath and I'm like, oh, that feels good. It does feel good because that's the message that the deep breath is sending to the body. Say, everything's okay. Things are good here. Can shut down the chronic stress. Put the adrenaline away. Get that parasympathetic flow happening. And all of these things feed together. The fasting space sending similar messages. That it's time to rest. That it's time to shut stuff down. That's what the cells can say. Cells can rest. Digestive cells can rest. Doesn't mean we have to rest. You'll be very energized and active in the fasting space because we start tapping in to that energy flow in the body. Body fat is a resource. It's just tremendous energy, and there's so much energy available to power our body and life. And in a fasting space, you can start to feel it. That is the most empowering feeling when you realize, how many years of my life did I live where I was basically afraid? It's like, I know I felt that way so long. Man, if I don't get this next meal in, it's going to be damaging to the body. Like I'd stress about it. I'd be at the clinic. I was like, I'm seeing patients. I run late, because it's like people needed this and people needed that. I worked all the way through lunch. All of a sudden I didn't get lunch. And it's like, and now my afternoon session is starting. And I used to feel like, oh man, I'm going to be unwell. Things are going to be. But then you learn, you're like, I got this. Be just fine. You just flow through it. Body's like, I got your back, It's like, we got some energy to handle this. and then you flow through it and everything's okay. The great irony is that it's good for the body to have some space like that sometimes, especially if you are overweight. Like if you're saying you want to, the body is carrying a burden, body is carrying a weight, which is good. You run into a difficult stretch, a lean season. This is how we survive. This is part of the deep history as we get into the roots of things. Industrial Revolution, saying energy scarcity, food scarcity, everybody trying to fix that. Well, we fixed it, okay? For at least a lot of people on this planet, incredibly, that so much inequality is not solved for everybody. Fasting space, trying to give us, like, hit the heart and say, man, in this time of abundance, shouldn't everybody have enough to eat from a place of great resource? Can we help as many people as possible with that? Okay, but we got to help every side of it. Okay, help people who don't have enough to eat. Somebody underweight needs more food, more meals, no fasting. Okay, someone on the opposite side of the spectrum, say more energy has gone in, fasting as a tool. Say, very hard to unpack that, right? Hard to release it. This is what fasting is, a release. Space for the body to release that. Would you like to do it? This is what I say. Would you like to do it? Do you have extra energy? Do you want to release it? I say, I can't do it for you. I wish that I could, honestly. I wish that I could say, but I sit with you here on the channel. Say we open up fasting space and we spend some time together. Grab a pleasant beverage, where maybe it's just pure, beautiful water. Maybe it's a coffee or tea. And I say, hey, let's just pass some time. We do some interesting thinking. Maybe put on some music, right? I do that sometimes. Just try to get into a flow, bring the pressure down, make it through a hunger wave. Say the barrier to fasting is mainly a hunger wave, which is a hormonal process. Comes and goes, and then you make it through it, and then things are okay. Practice like that probably be replicated on the larger scale if we collectively decided, hey, it's like maybe we should throw a few circuit breakers on this process here. Probably be some withdrawal on that one. Say, oh, there's so much momentum. But fasting in the body showing us, okay, we open up some fasting space in the body, stop the energy flow. Very simple, grounded process. We see that health can flourish in that sort of space. I bet a societal fasting process from this parabolic energy consumption probably serves society equally well. That's what I'm thinking. We want to turn all these things out. We talk a lot about, okay, body mirroring society, dysfunction of society brought into the body. How about we turn that around? This is where I want to say, let's have overflowing health and flourishing in the body and pour that out and send it out into society and start having society mirroring the health that we're experiencing. Fasting showing us a process that it's okay, throw the circuit breaker in there a little bit, thoughtfully, gently, with some planning, okay? Open up the space. Health can flourish. Thank you for being here with me. Share ongoing thoughts. If you're coming through on the replay, type them up in the comments. I would love to have an ongoing discussion with you about this. Share your observations and perspectives. And I will be back with you soon. Have a great day, everybody.